Spirituality and mental health are deeply, deeply connected. A deep spiritual practice is the best way I know to have good mental health. And I say this coming from a background in psychology. A deep spiritual practice is the best way to have good mental health. However, it is not an exclusive way. And this is an important thing. Many of us, not all of us, but many of us, have patterns in our minds, patterns in our lives that have come from typically things that have happened in our childhood. Well-meaning, but failing on certain levels nonetheless, families of origin, parents who did the very best they could, but they were young. They did just what they'd learned from their parents who had been young. Most people have children in their 20s. Very few 20-somethings know it all. Very few 40, 50, 80-year-olds know it all. But you tend to get a little bit wiser as you get older. Nonetheless, the years in which people tend to bear children are prior to the years in which we tend to really have figured things out. And so inevitably, in a lot of cases, again, not all of them though, we have patterns, we have issues in our life that we can't just meditate away. It would be nice if we could, but that actually require being looked at. Because when we don't look at them, you get what we call a spiritual bypass, which is beautiful spiritual experiences, real, honest, blissful, deep, peaceful spiritual experiences, but then this seemingly very ironic inability to have healthy relationships, or seemingly ironic inability to control your temper. And you think, my God, this doesn't make any sense, right? I do this meditation, I have these blissful experiences, I do this japa, I've experienced the divine. Why do I find myself in a drunken stupor? Why do I find myself using drugs? Why do I find myself in bed with people I don't want to be in bed with? Why do I find myself cheating, lying, hurting people I love? And a lot of times these come not just from weakness. We tend to look at it and we say, this is just weakness. In some cases it is. In some cases it's just you're not exercising enough willpower or discipline. You've chosen to be lazy. But in a lot of cases, it's really not due to lack of willpower or discipline. It's really due to patterns in our lives that have come from childhood that until and unless we look at them, until and unless we're able to heal from them, we can't move on. And so you get this chasm between beautiful spiritual experiences over here and uncontrollable anger over here, or addiction, or whatever it may be. And so that's where we have mental health practices and mental health practitioners that help people look at some of this stuff. But then spirituality plays another very big role there, which is after you've looked at it, after you've understood why it's there, after you've committed yourself to letting go of that, it's actually spirituality that helps you really do the letting go. It's spirituality that helps you move from the darkness of the place in which these patterns were created into the light of freedom. The light that says, okay, yeah, my parents did that, or my teacher did this, or my neighbors did that, or my government did this. Or people I don't even know did it, and who knows, whatever the situation may be. Yeah, that happened. And yeah, that had a ripple impact on my mental health. But I'm not that. I'm no longer the one to whom it happened. There's not a cell of my body anymore to which it happened. And I'm not the body anyway, of course. But even if I were, the body to which it happened is no longer the body I have today. And I'm ready to move on. And that's something that spiritual practices tend to have, I have found, a lot greater success with than psychological practices. Psychological practices are fantastic at the insight, the awareness, touching that truth about the self, touching that insight. And then the spiritual practices tend to be the ones that pull us then out of that place, into the freedom, into the light. And free us, really. Free us of that laziness.